put your blood, sweat, and tears into a business, so I'm pretty sure you want it to have longevity. The good thing is you're in the right place because today we're going to talk about how to future-proof your business. Do you want to learn the thought process that some of the most successful entrepreneurs leverage so that their businesses have longevity? Would it be valuable for you to walk away with a framework that you can immediately use to future-proof your business? So before we get into the meaty part of what you need to know, we have to get into the mindset that's necessary for you to be successful in future-proofing your business. We live in a time where there's so much encouragement around positive thinking and hustle culture. Get it done, you can do it, yay! No matter what, we can overcome. Now, I'm not saying there's not a place for that. It's extremely important. I'm someone who uses affirmations and vision boards myself. But what if I were to tell you that that's actually the enemy of future-proofing your business? The problem is that when we're focusing only on the positive side, we're missing the monsters that might be lurking on the dark side. So we have to be comfortable with the possibility that we might fail. Now, being open to the possibility that you can fail doesn't mean that you're expecting it or wanting it, but we have to examine it because once we examine it, we can be open to future-proofing ourselves against it. Similarly, if you're paying for any type of business insurance, which you more than likely are, you have it because you realize there's possibilities that things can go wrong. So for instance, if you have any kind of business or even personal insurance, you have it because you had the foresight to think, oh wait, something could go wrong at some point. Let me protect against that. And so with our business, again, we're not planning for failure, but we're making sure and acknowledging that it can happen. And so we want to plan against that. So now that we know that we have to be open to the idea that we could fail, start to think about what are some of the things that would contribute to that failure. I want you to think about 3 scenarios that could happen that are unwanted, but are still feasible. So to give you an example, perhaps a global pandemic, perhaps something like a supply chain issue. Maybe it's something like a zombie apocalypse. Nope, not a zombie apocalypse, because remember what I said, it has to be feasible. So I want you to create these alternate world scenarios where if the world changed in this way, or if this big thing happened, it would have an impact on your business. Now, very important, I want you to come up with 3 undesirable ones. I have to say that over and over again. Undesirable, but still probable. So for instance, if you own a retail store, you might come up with a scenario where all your supply chain access is cut off to a particular country. You might come up with another scenario where people start to believe that rayon is toxic to your skin and maybe you carry rayon products. So scenarios like that, go ahead, lay them out, title that alternate world scenario that is undesirable, but would definitely have an impact on your business. Don't go anywhere yet because we still have 5 more steps to go. But before that, have you subscribed to this channel yet? If not, make sure that you do that right now because if you don't, you're going to miss some really juicy business building tips here. Now that you have your list of those 3 likely but unwanted scenarios, I want you to flesh those out a little bit. Now that you have them listed, start to list how would those scenarios impact your business? How would they impact your clients? How would they impact your strategic partners? Start to list all the different ways that they could potentially impact your business. After you do that and you paint a very clear picture, I want you to do a SWOT analysis for each and every one of those 3 scenarios. Keep in mind, we're doing 3 individual SWOT analysis. So that's your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats in each one of those scenarios. The reason why we're doing these individually is because something that might be a strength in this scenario might actually be a weakness in this one. An opportunity in scenario 1 might actually be a threat in scenario 3. And so I want you to do a SWOT analysis for all 3 of those different scenarios. Okay, now that you're done with your SWOT analysis, the next step is brainstorm 3 things that you can do today that would future-proof you against that scenario. So for instance, maybe an example of the rayon, maybe you diversify the fabrics of your clothing. In the issue of you being cut off from one of your global suppliers, maybe it's developing a relationship so that your clothing is coming from multiple locations. These are things you can do now that'll protect you against those scenarios. So under each of those 3 scenarios, I want you to come up with 3 possible solutions you can put in place today to protect yourself against those scenarios. Now, this might be a good opportunity for you to get either your team together at your organization, or if you're a small business owner or a solopreneur, maybe you get together with a mastermind to help you, especially in brainstorming these solutions. It might be helpful to get them involved in the entire process, but when it comes to creative solutions, oftentimes people outside of our organization or with different vantage points within the organization can come up with a greater variety of solutions. Once you come up with a list, narrow it down to 3. So here's the really interesting part. Now I want you to go through all 3 scenarios, and hopefully you have these all 3 written down on 3 sheets of paper sitting next to each other. Look at the solutions you came up with on scenario 1. Do any of those solutions work for the other 2 scenarios? If so, circle it. If not, cross it out. Now you're going to go to scenario 2 and you're going to go through all 3 of those solutions as well. Do any of those work for the other 2? If so, circle it. If not, cross it out. You're going to do the same thing with the 3rd scenario. So you're looking at 9 possible total solutions and going through each one for each different scenario. By the end, you probably have 1 to 2 solutions that work in all 3 scenarios. If you're trying to figure out what you should be innovating in your company, what's the highest priority, it's probably those 2 things, because those are the things that can probably carry you not only through those 3 different scenarios, but even through an unforeseen scenario you didn't even consider. And I'm willing to bet using those solutions now, even if you get the desired future that you're expecting, it's probably still going to strengthen your business even in that instance. One of the challenges of being open to the possibility of failing is because we feel so confident that the future that we're anticipating will happen, and that's the future that we want for our business. But that's actually not what history teaches us. And in fact, history is really our biggest problem. Oftentimes, rather than predicting the future or even trying to predict the future, we're actually projecting what happened historically onto the future. So for instance, if for the last 5 years we've had great success using a certain technique or serving clients a certain way, it gives us a false sense of security because we believe that the success that we had in the past is a prediction of how we'll perform in the future, and that's just not so. So we have to ensure that when we're looking to the future, yes, we consider some elements of the past, but understand that the market is shifting, the world is changing, and so are ideas. And so we have to be flexible. And when we're inflexible, that actually increases the likelihood of our failure. Now you have action items that you can take based on those solutions that worked across 3 different scenarios. But maybe you want a little bit more guidance. Lucky for you, I have a free gift for you, and it's the Future Ready Playbook. It's a playbook that's chock full of activities and worksheets that'll help you plan strategically for the future of your organization. Go ahead, look in the description, and you'll find a link to download it right now.